Canada. You are watching the #1 podcast in the whole entire YouTube wrestling community, and I'm one of your hosts, Juanzo.
And I'm your other host, Jean-Paul Leck.
Together we are
Rope.
How's every single one of you? It's time to talk about like the fastest growing brands in the WWE, and that's WWE NXT UK. One of the best shows that we have to offer to every single one of you, because like it has a lot of good storytelling and always are giving us a hook. Something to look forward to for the next week, and this week was not the exception. What do you think about the show?
Yeah, I mean, we had said it last week to start it off, because of course when this opened up, they recapped Meiko Satomura, beating Kaylee Ray, ending her 600-some-day title reign. We said this week of this episode we're covering right now is probably going to be a little bit more of a down episode. They're not going to do anything too crazy because it's like they just had such a crazy show with a great main event. This will be like a cool down, and then next week will be hot again. And that's what this was. Everything I think that was really good on the show was either like a promo or an interview segment or something like that. The matches were all right, but I think next week is, really gonna be the great matches.
It's gonna one that they picked up again. Yeah. This is kind of like, we're just gonna have a week kind of off, not off, but we're just gonna like take it slow. We're just gonna keep building though. So like, thank you for being with every single one of you, and thank you even more so for like the reception of the last week's video. Like Meiko Satomura completely helped us out, so thank you, Meiko. That's why we have you in the right now in the overlay for you guys. Like the new NXT UK Women's Champion. Don't forget also to like look at the NXT video. Of course, this show is not as great, but like it has a lot of good moments now. And now the Samoa Joe is actually the enforcer of NXT. Like the ratings went up for them, so it's a cool thing. Samoa Joe being back in the WWE always generates traction for every single one of us.
Yeah, I mean, NXT, that's another thing too. What do we say? The main thing, it really wasn't even the matches and all the stuff that we saw in the episode. It was pretty much just Samoa Joe. And, they teased out a lot of stuff. He had to stare down with Pete Dunne. He choked out Adam Cole. Eventually, this guy's going to be back in the ring. There was reports that apparently he was fired without Triple H knowing it. And Triple H was furious that he was fired. And he was like, I did everything in my power to get this guy back as soon as I could. So I don't think Joe's going anywhere, at least, for a long time, because Triple H wasn't happy. He wanted him back. And he has him on the brand. He should be on NXT, so it's interesting to see, where he goes. Because I don't think he'll just be the enforcer or, William Regal's like muscle. I don't think he'll be that forever. Once
he's clear, go back in the ring, baby. Like they have this stare down with Cameron Cross. We have Adam Cole. We have so many matchups that they can do. We have a plethora of matches for Samoa Joe, so that's going to be interesting. That's going to enhance NXT. Especially now they don't fight with AEW anymore, so we have two separate entities. That's really great. So thank you one more time. We're 2 away. Help us out. 2 away for the first 1,000. So please subscribe, hit the bell for notifications. Also give the video a like so it goes higher in the rankings and more people are exposed to the original rubric. And Paul, this show started out with Sam Gradwell and Wolfgang. This is like the one thing that like remember like Sid Scala told him like to the members of Gallus, hey, guys, I legit in like a tag team. How about you guys, let's see, test the waters in singles competitions. So that's what it was. And this match, like you said, is like Sam Gradwell always gives you good matches. Unfortunately, in the most cases, he ended up losing them. But again, he's always like a pretty like good wrestler. He gives you like a pretty decent match every single time he has an opportunity.
Yeah, I mean, this match, they were hyping it up, and the one thing, like I've been saying, and we see it later with Joe Coffey, or not Joe Coffey,
Mark Coffey.
Mark Coffey. It's just like, a little bit goofy, and they like trying to have fun and all this stuff, and I like when they're more serious, and I was hoping Sam Gradwell maybe would have got the win here. He looked pretty good. He looked, kind of, pretty much, I would say, not dominated, but he was in control early on in this match. Like, Wolfgang went up top on the ropes, and he pushed him right off onto the outside, and he's like, oh, like he taunting him and all this stuff. And, it was good, but then, as it keeps going, Wolfgang makes his big comeback, and he eventually, hits the big
face right there when we get to 1,000, like, right? That's going to be our face.
Once we hit 1,000, definitely. But
that's going to be bad. Like, big comeback, right?
Yeah, and Wolfgang then hits the big spear and everything. 1, 2, 3. I mean, it was good for an opening match, but again, I really wanted Sam Gradwell to win because Wolfgang, there's no reason for him to be winning a singles match. Not saying a tag team guy can't break off and whatever, but Gallus, that's the tag team. Him and Mark Coffey, that's the tag team. I don't want to see him
competing in singles matches.
Yeah, exactly. And Gradwell is a guy who's a heel. You can really build him up, especially guys like Fraser and all these guys, A-Kid, Tyler Bate, you have all these like baby faces on this brand. You should really be building this guy up, but instead, like we said, he talks a big game and everything, but then he always loses in the big matches. So
didn't you think that like at some point when Wolfgang like delivered the spear, he actually did like kind of like the buckshot lariat, doing like the whole thing? Like
how he flipped over the egg. Yeah, exactly.
I thought it was going to be the buckshot lariat. I'm like, oh, am I seeing Adam Hannah and Page here? But no, it was a spear. Not I think poorly executed also, but in the end, 1, 2, 3, then Wolfgang gets the win. And like you said, we'll see what happens. I mean, they have this like competition between the members of Gallus. So he gets the win at the expense, unfortunately, of Gradwell. I don't want to like keep seeing losing. He deserves a little better because, like you said, he's a better heel. And the only win that he's had over all this past thing that we've seen from NXT UK since the return has been against Dave Mastiff. So a little unfortunate for Gradwell. But let's talk about a guy that actually proved that being heel is legit. Because he says, you know what, the best thing is about when people think that you're a scumbag, that you can actually act like a scumbag, and that's Kenny Williams. Really good promo from him. We're gonna hear from here. He had a match, in a little bit.
And also, and I love the line when he's like, you guys saw what I did to somebody who I cared about at one time. Imagine what I can do to somebody who I don't care about at all.
Oh, so like that's a great line too.
Yeah, so like you said, I mean,
he's on fire. Like,
yeah, he's a good heel. It's just unfortunate he's like a little small. When you compare him to some of the guys, especially the guys he gets wins over, he's a little small, but still the attitude and the wrestling ability is all there.
And you know what? Like the good thing also is that we finally have like a finisher for like what he does. Like have that face first that he does. But before we get into Kenny Williams, let's talk about like a really nice video package for Meiko Satomura, the celebration of the NXT Women's Championship. Her win against Kaylee Ray. We get to see the girlfriend of Braun Strowman. Yeah, you heard me right. Yeah, Braun Strowman's girlfriend, like Raquel Gonzalez. She's like, so I don't know what I'm thinking when it comes to men, but when it comes to like championships, I know that Meiko Satomura is legit. So that's extremely great. She says like that's a great thing for like the WWE to have Meiko Satomura, the final boss, being in our brand, and that's going to enhance their division. Same thing with like Xia Brooks. It's like I'm never going to win that championship for her. That's the face right there. They're never going to give me a shot. I suck. It's fine. And then we got to see Meiko. Like this is a great picture. Like I love that. And then we got to see Amel. I feel that Amel is going to be the first one to challenge because she said, you took my spot in the gauntlet match. Should have been me. So now I'm going to tear you apart and I'm going to win that championship from you. So, pretty good promo by, everybody else just showcasing like the great victory of Meiko Satomura.
Yeah, and I like the ending part the most because all the other women, she's legit, blah, blah, blah. It's like, okay, whatever. But I like this from Amel. Like, you took my spot. I should have been in there. Now I'm going to take the title from you. Like you said, boom, here's the first feud. Because you don't want to start off with an Eva Valkyrie or somebody who is like, that should be the end goal. But somebody like Amel, no offense, she's kind of low on the card. Boom, this is a good first, feud and stuff for Meiko. So I'm fine with this.
Exactly, I'm absolutely fine with that. So like, let's go to like a quick promo from like the main event. It's gonna be Subculture, Danny Luna, and Flash Morgan Webster. Then we're talking with Mark Andrews, like be legit, stay in the game. We got a big match. It's gonna be good. And then we got to see Connors and also JInny. But then we got to see the members of Pretty Deadly. So this is the one thing is that why are they in the middle of all of this? Like there's no tag teams that they can feud against. Is that why?
Yeah, I mean that's the one like the weird thing, like you said, it's like subculture, but we got to think who is the one? Ashton Smith, his tag team, and they're pretty much done. We had Kenny Williams and Amir Jordan. They're done. We had Symbiosis, but they're heels, so I don't know. And then we have Gallus wrestling in singles matches, so they're and Imperium. Where are they?
Imperium, they're losing. They're
exactly.
Losing to, like a Fandango and also Tyler Breeze.
Yeah, to Breezango, but yeah, I mean, so I guess I see Pretty Deadly going over in this feud. So I mean, I'm fine with that too. But it's like you said, it's kind of a head scratcher.
Yeah, it is. It is a little bit of why they. I guess they probably find them funny, and probably the girls want to see them. They're good. They're good looking. They're all this stuff, so they want to do that. So that's probably they have nothing when it comes to wrestling matches. So he's like, hey, this might just have them on commentary. Maybe they're appealing. Whatever, that's fine. So let's go move on to the next one, Paul, and that's actually Kenny Williams going against Danny Jones. And this one was quick, but like you said, Jones a lot taller and also a lot more ripped than what Kenny Williams was. Despite that, Kenny gets the win. So, like, what do you think about it? It was, what, 5 minutes or so?
Yeah, and I mean, this was actually, it was the normal, how you should do like a normal match to, get somebody over like that with Kenny Williams. He dominated. Then you saw the other guy, he made his, comeback a little bit. He got fired up, started hitting his moves.
Danny Jones, yeah, like he actually got big good, like really good, a lot of good moves, and also Nigel McGuinness was really behind the guy. Like, yeah, exactly. Another excellent performance, he said.
And I think if that guy, if he gained maybe 20, 30 pounds of muscle and stuff, I mean, because he's tall, whatever, he's good, you probably have something with this guy. And most of the guys who they bring on here aren't just like jobbers. They're guys who are good, and they're, in a year from now, they're going to be moving up the card and stuff. But, of course, Williams, he kind of gets like an eye rake or something, and then that kind of stops the momentum. And then he hits his big finisher, like you said, the big face plant, 1, 2, 3, and, his momentum keeps going. And I'm thinking maybe he's going to have a shot at Tyler Bate in the near future. They didn't hint anything, and we did see somebody, later on who is, was challenged by Tyler Bate actually. But I think Williams would be. I think Williams would be a good choice because he's
Kenny Williams to me is actually a much better choice than what he was trying to pick. But the name of the finisher family for the ones that they were asking, Bad Luck. So that's what it is. There you go. Like the face buster, Bad Luck. Kenny Williams is the win against Danny Jones. That's okay. Like you said, Tyler Bate that's a good feud right there. That's a good first feud for Tyler Bate and the Heritage Cup Championship. Again, make it just a championship. Can you please do that? And put the cup somewhere. That's fine. Send it to Roderick. Well, Jean Paul will have it in the back. That's fine. I don't mind doing that. But at least get a title because it's seems to me, oh yeah, I need my championship. No. Yeah, by Boombox. No, it's not. I don't like that. But it's a minor picking right here. Tell me a little bit about this. Big news from Sid Scala and Johnny Sane. They call us. They said, guys, please say this about the next week triple threat match. We said it about this. Hey, these three guys are the main eventers for NXT since the return. Rampage Brown, he had a challenge at NXT Prelude. Joe Coffey, he had also another opportunity. And the best matches of the whole entire year, last year, Ilja Dragunov and Walter. These three guys are going to collide finally, and from there we'll see who's going to challenge Walter.
Yeah, and see, that's the thing. I'm looking forward to this match. He said this main event for next week. This is a can't miss match. But all they said was, Andy Shepherd said on commentary, this is just to prove who the toughest guy is in NXT UK. They didn't say anything about number one contender, anything like that. So I'm thinking they're just kind of selling it like that. But then I think when this is over, I think Walter's going to come out. I think he's not attack anybody. This isn't AEW. This isn't bullshit. No, he's just going to come out, and there's going to be a big stare down with whoever wins. But, still, I'm excited for it, even though they didn't technically, crown it as a number one contenders match. I still think it is. But, then the sit down, we'll talk about the sit down.
Of course, they got to sit down, and, you see, three guys and start. Joe Coffey is the ones that start and say, guys, it's the three of us are the main event players here, but, this is more between Rampage and me. Not from Glasgow, Rampage is from Leeds, we're British, and, we have a Russian guy here, so, Ilja, what the hell, bro? What's going on? He's why do you want a piece of the pie here, my friend? And Ilja says, I'm violent. It's guys, I got it. No mention of Walter, though. It's more like you said, it's just more about, they
did mention him a little bit because, Joe Coffey was kind of poking the bear, and he said to Ilja, he's like, that match you had, he's like, do you think that you left part of yourself in that ring? And he's like, because I don't think you've been the same since that match with Walter. And then Ilja's like, so, and then him and Rampage, Joe Coffey and Rampage, they really start going at it. And then like you said, Ilja, he tries to interrupt and interject, and they're like, why did you, insert yourself in our feud? Do you know how violent this is going to get? And he's like, I am violence. We heard in that promo, this match will be the embodiment of violence and everything. So, or excuse me, they will redefine violence is what he said. But, this was good. And then I liked how they all started getting heated, and but see, nobody got up. Nobody started throwing punches. Nobody flipped the table. They just all start arguing back and forth and everything. And then I couldn't understand Joe Coffey with his accent a little too thick. So I don't know what the last line that he said at the end, but you see how,
it was just, to prove that was going to be, from here it's going to be the, the guy that rules NXT UK. Pretty much.
But I like how they all have different, demeanors. Where Joe Coffey is the one, he's the quickest to get loud. He's the quickest, the cockiest to reach that point. Rampage Brown's the older guy. He's more relaxed, more chill.
Confident.
And then Dragunov, and then Dragunov is just kind of you don't know what he is because he can be calm and chill like he was here, but then he can also snap and go crazy. So I mean, I'm looking forward to this match probably just as much as I was looking forward to the main event from last week. So I think this is going to be good. Like I said, can't miss.
Absolutely, and the only thing I can tell is like they don't mention number one contenders. Is I'm not sure if WWE likes to use that word. I think it's one in the list of like the banned words. Is like they don't like number one contender for some reason, so that's why they have to like for the guys that like we've been watching this forever, like you and me, like we know it's number one contender, but they won't say it because of course different rules, but like it's fine. But this is going to be a great match, like you said, main event, and you already predicted, so I'm not going to say anything. Walter's going to come out. I have it 800 days. Okay, yeah. And
tell me who you think's gonna win then. Let's do that.
I won Ilja. We got the rematch. I won.
I think to me, Ilja's my boy. Ilja's like far ahead of like who's my favorite guy in this brand. It's Ilja. But if he wins and he goes against Walter, he has to beat Walter. He can't lose twice because then that like I said, it's always the boy who cried wolf. It's like, how many times are you going to get to there and you're going to be, is he going to win it? No, he's not. Because then the next time he goes there, I won't even care. I'll be like, he's going to lose.
And Piper Niven.
Exactly.
Yeah, so like, what do you think? Is going to be Ilja, or for you, it's going to be Joe Coffey or Rampage Brown?
I think it's got to be Ilja. We just saw Rampage Brown. That was the most recent one. Joe Coffey, to me, I don't know. Like, I can see him being this brand's champion, but not for very long because on this brand, there's a lot of smaller guys. And I don't want to say smaller like, Marco Stunt smaller, but like, they're like thinner, like the Tyler Bate, the Trent Sevens, the Nathan Frazier's, the A-Kids, the Jordan Devlins, Noam Dars. To me, the believable matchup is when the belt's on a guy like Ilja.
Exactly. Yeah, no, you have more variety, like you said, and I finally take the big guy Walter. 800 days, we've seen it all. That's fine. Get that title because that's going to refresh the whole brand. Because everybody, once there's a new champion, what happens? Everybody else deserves
now the only thing I will say is, and I don't see him doing it because he's too hot of a commodity, but if Finn Balor would come over to NXT UK and he would be there, that would be the only. But I don't see
the guy that like wins. Finn Balor comes out.
But I don't see that because this brand isn't. Let's be honest. We love it. It's our favorite show, but it's not presented anywhere near as, well as like an NXT or Raw or SmackDown.
It doesn't have that level of promotion. Yes.
Yeah. So I don't think they would take Finn Balor.
Underground.
Yeah, exactly. So I don't think they would take Finn Balor. But, I'm thinking Walter's going to drop this belt soon, and he's going to go to, the United States NXT. Yeah.
Is going to become the new NXT champion. That's how it is, And so we're going to go from Coffee to Coffee because we're from Joe to Mark. He's like, Wolfgang wanted me. So like, let's do one. So like, he's gonna say, hey, I'm gonna like get a match, and he gets on Shaz Samuel's like face. Hey, he's like, you wanna like, he starts bothering him because like he's trying to draw or stuff. He's like, hey, you want to do it? So he's like, okay, we're gonna have a match, and he goes again. He's like, goes looking for Johnny Sane. So they're gonna have a match probably next week. That's gonna open NXT UK. So we'll see if like he is able to tie, Wolfgang. And then we'll see what happens with Gallus. But now, Paul, tell me to like the Supernova Sessions with Noam Dar. This is one of like the greatest things ever in the show. Yeah, the guy is absolutely on fire. Tell me a little bit about it.
Yeah, this was a good one. Of course, he starts out, he's like, 5 years in the making. I finally have my T-shirt. Isn't it beautiful? He shows off the shirt and everything.
Great. I'm going to get it. It was already on pre-order.
And, and he's so happy with himself. And then he introduces the Irish Ace, Jordan Devlin. And it was actually one where he doesn't poke fun at the guy because him and Devlin are both heels and they're both friends. So they get along and everything. And I love when they like shit on America. They're like, yeah, I have to come back here to the UK because America sucks. And he's like, yeah, it does. And they're both like, making fun of America and everything. But, he says he's a little upset that Devlin came back here, a little bit empty-handed. He's like, where's the hardware? But he's like, because that belt was like our belt. It was everybody's belt here in NXT UK. That's how they felt. And then it's like, you lost our belt. And he's like, you lost your belt. So you see, he's kind of like poking him a little bit, but like not too much. And then the only problem I really had with this was not that he made fun of Santos Escobar. I forget what he called him, like Santa something.
Santa Claus.
Yeah. And then he's making fun of him. But I don't know how old this was, when they recorded this. But Jordan Devlin, he's like, yeah, I'm going to go back after Santos Escobar. I'm going to teach him a lesson and get my title back. And I'm like, Kushida's probably like, so.
Yeah, like that's the one thing that like I was also like thinking the same thing. I was like, maybe that's when Noam Dar should have been like, Jordan Kushida.
Yeah, exactly.
So it's like cut. It's like, come on, dude. It's like, it's Kushida's the champion. Don't be bullshit. But maybe they want to keep the feud with Santos Escobar. So that, or maybe he doesn't acknowledging Kushida, even though you know that like he knows about Kushida, because remember like they had a stare down.
Yeah.
So like I don't know how.
Yeah,
like,
but besides that little slip up, and then I love the liner. He said, "I'm putting everybody here in NXT UK on notice." He's like, "If you want to step up, you want to go against the best wrestler on this brand, the Irish Ace. You know where to find me. I have the biggest locker room or the biggest dressing room with the big gold star. It says Irish Ace. Come knock on the door. Challenge me and step up." So this was a good, obviously great. Jordan Devlin he's one of the best guys too on this brand. And of course he was trained by Finn Balor. He almost looks like Finn Balor. You know what I mean? Like, so I mean, he's great. And, we saw later on what's going to be his first feud since his return. And I think that's going to be a great feud. Let's just talk about it now. So he goes back in the dressing room. And A-Kid, I like him, but to me, he has like a really punchable face.
Oh, yeah.
Like when he's like, what are you doing in my room? Why are you drinking my coffee? He's like, oh, your coffee. And he has that smile. And I'm like, I want to see Devlin just beat him up. I don't know why. But, and then Devlin, he's just like, oh, yeah, why don't you and your cup get out of here? Oh, wait, you don't have a cup. So then, he's poking fun of him for the Heritage Cup. He pokes fun of him for the Cruiserweight belt and everything.
So he's like, well, you don't have your title either or something. So like, you see the first feud between the two. It's gonna be interesting. It's gonna be interesting because I think Jordan's gonna go over. But again, what do you do with the A-Kid? This is kind of like losing like steam. And I don't know if I like that. But like you said, he acts like a prick, and it's fine. If he gets his ass kicked, I'm absolutely for it because Jordan Devlin, like the promo is a lot more interesting. He has a better character, so it's good.
Oh yeah.
But, we're going to see this maybe in 2 weeks. That's good. That can be the main event. So that's a really good starting feud, because both guys are going to benefit. It's going to be a great match. They can give us a great stealing show, so that's going to be really good. So, let's talk about it next week. Also, we're going to see Theo Man against Oliver Carter. Remember, like we did with Ashton Smith. So now he's going to do it the same thing to Oliver. Remember, he fought for his family, and he was challenging the family are, how family are, Oliver and also Ashton. So that's why Theo Man he's going to be doing that. It's interesting. Theo Man has a lot of potential. Nathan Frazier. That will be the feud for me. That's a great, beginning feud for both of them to just be serious, the main important feud. But we'll see what happens. So tell me a little bit about this guy. So I got injured with Dragunov. I'm back. How are you feeling from your injuries, man? Yeah, I'm legit. You want to go back in the ring? Hell no. I'm done. No. So we get to see you will see Tyler Bate and Jack Stars. They're right there, in the back, and then he approaches them, and Tyler Bate asks Jack Stars, "Hey, why don't you? I want to give you an opportunity for the Heritage Cup." Star says, "No, you know what, man? I don't feel like you should give me something. I want to earn it." And then he approaches Jack Stars, and then what did he say?
Yeah, well, Jack Stars is just like, so, I feel like I want to earn it and all this stuff. And then Tyler Bates like, okay, well, the offer's on the table. And then I love how Massive's like, dude, he's like, what's your deal? Like, if somebody
what's the matter with you, man?
He's like, if somebody gives you this opportunity, you got to take it. Like, what the hell? And then Jack Stars like, so, and I'm just like, I wonder if they're gonna have a match between the two of them. And Jack Stars goes over, but man, you're doing dirty to Dave Mastiff.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like we say, Sam Gradwell is a loser. No offense, we love him here on the channel, but he's a loser. If you go by his win-loss record, the only guy he beat was Mastiff.
Yeah. Yeah.
No, and
Mastiff loses, Paul. It's like Saxon Huxley, Gradwell, and Mastiff. They're there.
Yeah.
And it starts. You go from loser to loser.
But like we said, but then if you look at those three guys who you just mentioned, they should all be on the top because they're big. They're like we said, Huxley,
and they all can wrestle.
Yeah, exactly. Huxley, we said he should have been pushed, legit, but they do what they do.
Well, he's upset because of Piper Niven being on Raw. You can see this. I mean, that's you seen your ex-girlfriend showed up on Monday Night Raw and then she beats Naomi. So, hashtag, go back with Jack Stars. Please give him a chance. He'll deserve it. That's what we got, Paul. Now tell me a little bit about the return of Raja Rahat. Right there. He's going to go back against Nathan Frazier. He remember, I guess he got his arm snapped by Theo Man. That was the selling point. That was the injury. But he's back way before time. So he had the match. But again, remember what he says in this line. Oh, it's time for the king to rise to the top. Did he do that? No. Another loss, Nathan Frazier. I mean, good match. Nathan dominated the whole thing. Let's not lie to the people. Here, Nathan has every single opportunity to win the match. Rajat, he had a few opportunities to get them, win. But like you know Nathan Frazier, the guy is like just pretty much one of like the most important guys on NXT UK. So of course he was gonna win.
Oh yeah, like we said, to me he's the top star. I mean, like Dragunov's my guy, but he's right there. Dragunov, Devlin, Fraser. They're my guys here in NXT UK, and you knew he was going to win. You kind of feel bad for Rohan because it's just like he had that debut and the crossface and done, and then he comes back and it's like done again. But what do we always say? Somebody needs to lose, right? So,
exactly.
Frazier, he makes his big comeback eventually. He drops that elbow, like we said, to AJ Styles. I don't know. I wish I knew what that move was called. Like
you said, is like the reverse DDT, but it's like an STF. Because AJ Styles does not do it like, he does the same move, but he ends in the Scorpion Dead Drop. But he transitions to the STF.
Yeah, exactly. And then, he hit the big frog splash, 1, 2, 3. And at least at the end of the match, he goes to show him the sign of respect, like, hey, we're both baby faces, it's legit and everything. But then we see the eye. And
like you see the eye of Tio Man.
Yeah, exactly. He said Tio Man. So I think he's going to beat Oliver Carter next week. And then this is going to be the next feud. And maybe you do something that he starts really brutalizing Oliver Carter after the match. And it's like, there's no Ashton Smith to make the save. Who's going to make the save? Fraser comes out. He makes the save, kind of chases him off, and then Tio Man could do like the eye thing and be like, "Ooh, yeah, I'm coming after you."
I like that. And then I really love the eye like boop, and then you see it, and it's like what the it's like what the hell, like really cool.
What's his name from New Japan? He does the eye.
Tetsuya Naito.
Yeah, there you go.
Ingobernable with Andrade Cien Almas and all of them, but like good stuff. Like that's and like you said, NXT. It doesn't matter. Like for me, you could consider it not even like an MLW. You can consider Ring of Honor because they have that underground sub base. But in the end, they keep you excited. The hooks are right there. Every single thing is like you said. Like every single week, I'm looking forward to NXT UK. Am I looking forward to Monday Night Raw? No, never. You have to have some kind of mental disease right there to be looking forward for that. But at least for this, every single week makes sense. So let's go to the main event. This main event was of course, like you said, they like to do this intergender matches. They don't have a lot of storylines going on when it comes to having the champions or the main figures every week, so they have to give everybody a fair shot, so that's fine. And we got Subculture with Flash Morgan Webster and Dani Luna making their debut as a tag and an intergender tag and going against JInny and Joseph Connors. The match was okay. Like you said, is when the girls are in, then tag the guys have to come in. I like the interaction. Joseph Connors is a pretty good wrestler. JInny, I feel that she could be a little better without him. But she's heel and now she could actually challenge against Meiko Satomura. That would be fine. Maybe a week or maybe 2 weeks or maybe in 2 months she could be the one because outside Kaylee Ray, she's kind of the most believable heels that they have. Yeah,
and maybe after the feud with Amel and everything, but this. I mean, I really don't know which match she really should have been the main event. I mean, I guess this one, because, they had the tag champs on commentary and everything, and, they're putting over Subculture. We're also putting over themselves. So, they did a good job with that on commentary. And, I like these guys a lot more than Breezango. I'm going to just come out and say it. But with this match, I really felt none of the matches on this show were really main event caliber to what we're used to seeing. That's why this week was clearly a down week. This was a cool down till they can get hot again next week. But Subculture, these intergender matches, I really don't care for them too much. And, not that they can't be good or anything, but, what's the story here? If the story here is the tag, these guys being in the tag, title picture, Andrews and Morgan Webster, then just do a tag match. Yeah. Because is Dani Luna gonna go against Pretty Deadly? No. So I mean, I don't really know what this whole feud and don't have the tag champs out there. That's what it's kind of. It's like you're trying to tell two different storylines within this thing, and I mean the match was okay.
To me, it's a little bit of the Best Friends and Orange Cassidy with Chris Statlander.
Except this is actually portrayed better. Because everybody actually wrestles, the one guy doesn't just have his hands in his pockets and, it's not just their alien girlfriend standing in the back, watching every move that she does. But, anyway, this was okay, but I couldn't really get into it too much because, Subculture's going to win. Yeah. What are you going to do? Have Subculture lose and they're the ones going in the tag title picture and everything. But, it wasn't bad. But like I said, to me, it wasn't the main event caliber match that we're used to seeing, but you know, like I said earlier, the main thing for me on this show was just all the promos, the interviews, and, you know, the hype for next week.
It's just the hype for what is going to be the next shows. But like you guys said, in the end, you know, Dani Luna and Flash Morgan Webster get the win. Dani Luna has a lot of potential. Maybe like by the end of the year, like the girl is actually really good in the ring. She has the physique. Remember, they say she's one of the most powerful women in NXT UK. So that is a good showing for her. Keep making some good impressions in when it comes to creative and like the officials. So that's, to me, that's the main goal for these guys. And that's why at some point maybe they can be champions one more time.
And that's why I'm fine with them, you know, being a group and coming out together. And even if they want to be at ringside for her matches, but that's what it should be, for her matches. And she can come out at ringside for their matches. The intergender matches, it really don't make too much sense because she should be in the women's division mixing it up, and they should be in the tag division mixing it up, not having intergender matches that, you know, you win that match, but you got to think, you know, if you go from like the real sports thing in the power rankings, what does that really do? There's no intergender division. There's no, you know,
unfortunately, there's not. But that's what we have. That was the show, family. So thank you so very much, every single one of you, for watching the review. Don't forget to please help us out. We're 2 away from the first 1,000. So please, you know, give us a hand. We want to get ready for that 1,000. So have a big celebration for what is going to be Hell in a Cell. Jump on myself live on Sunday. You know, what is going to be everything that happens inside the demonic structure. So also, like I said, don't forget to like hit the bell for notifications. Give the video a like. Where else can they find us?
And also, guys, make sure you follow us, Rope Break, on Facebook, the OG Rope Break on Twitter, Original Rope Break on Instagram, and, of course, right here on YouTube, the home of the #1 podcast in the YouTube wrestling community, the Original Rope Break.
Thank you to every single one of you. Tomorrow, Smackdown Live. Don't forget, Jean-Paul and myself cover everything. Go home show with Hell in a Cell. We'll see you then. You and me have one more thing that is left to say. That is...